But I guess like more and more people are doing it, but I just really hope it continues when everything's open again.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it's like once the convenience, like wee shops or like Asda is not, you don't have to queue for 20 minutes to get into Asda, like it just becomes, you go back to normal almost, which is a shame when, like you say, these small businesses like the veg boxes and fish and all that sort of stuff, like they've seen a huge rise. Like I know I had a client who does that, and the rise they saw in like sales was just crazy.
I know. I just hope it continues. And I do think it's making people think a little bit more. And then obviously, like, not to bring up the lovely B word, but like Brexit coming.
Oh no.
That's going to change things as well. Because obviously, like, we barely produce anything in the UK. Like, we get so much stuff from Europe. And like, there are a lot of things that, you know, we're probably just not going to get to the same standard here. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to still want my wine to come from France and Italy and Spain. Do you know what I mean? Like, like that, I don't think will change, but it has made people think about buying more locally. And hopefully these businesses that have grown because of that will continue to grow and produce more stuff. And we can start to buy even more things locally, I hope.
Yeah. And it's been so nice seeing, like, on social media. I know you've been sharing a lot of stuff that you've been buying for like Christmas and all the small businesses you've been supporting, but I feel like there is a lot more in it. Oh, I know. I feel like I just spend all my money now. I'm like trying to do just Christmas shopping, and I'm just buying stuff for myself.
It's so funny that you say that though, because so like I've brought in way less money, you know, not that I normally bring in loads and loads of money. I'm not exactly rolling in it, but I definitely like my income got cut way back this year because I've had to work so much less. So I'm trying to be smart in like not spending money on silly things. But then at the same time, I want to try and support the small businesses that are struggling and are trying to remain open. So I feel the same. I feel like any money I have has been spent on like buying, not just for other people, but for myself. I'm like, oh, that looks pretty good. I think I'll just get myself one of those. It's supporting a business. It's allowed. It's not selfish.
So it does feel, you feel way less guilt when it's a small business. So like I'm like, oh, I'm supporting them. This is not just me spending all my money. This is good.
But your gift guides have been so good, like because I love how you've done it in like different categories as well, like to give different gift ideas. I've been loving seeing all of those.
Oh, thank you. I've got like so many, I had so many more like categories, but there's just not enough time. Like you think I'll start in December when everyone's sort of like buying, and then before you know it, it's like the last shipping dates are like this week. Like a lot of small businesses, this is it, you're done. So I've had so much more to share, but I need to do it next year.
I know you almost need to like to start way earlier in the year, but then nobody's thinking about it then. Because I was just trying to share like the stuff that I had actually bought like for people or whatever, people that I know aren't going to be on Instagram, like family and stuff, and people back home. But I did the same. I got a load of stuff, and then I took a bunch of pictures, and I thought, oh, I'll share like a couple every day in my stories. And then all of a sudden I've got like, you know, a folder full of stuff on my phone. And now like you're saying, everyone's going, oh, last days for shipping is like tomorrow. And I feel bad because I had so much more to share, but you're right. We'll be better prepared for next year and think, you know, by Halloween, we'll be ready to go.
I know. But then when you mention it in like November, everyone gets mad.
Yep, totally.
People who aren't in like the small business world, because like we know that they have to start thinking about it in probably like August or like halfway through the year, but I think other people are like, no, not till December. We don't talk about Christmas.
Oh, I wonder how that will all change next year as well. I just kind of hope, like, there's been lots of bad things that have come out of this, I think, obviously. And I really feel like you've seen the worst in a lot of people and in a lot of businesses, like in the way that they treated their staff, or like, you know, people like Richard Branson asking for government help when he owns islands and, you know, is a gazillionaire, and like just things like that you see it and you just think like the wealth is so disproportionately distributed, you know, not just here, it's even worse in America and stuff, but there's been all of that bad stuff, but then there's been so much good stuff out of it as well. Like, as you said, some businesses have grown so much and people have tried doing different things. Lots of people that lost their jobs and always wanted to run their own business have now started doing it. Like, I've spoken to loads of people like that who are like, I always wanted to, or maybe they did it as a hobby, and then when they lost their jobs or got furloughed, they were like, that's it, I'm just gonna go for it. So I mean, there is a lot of good. And even the way that, you know, people have come together online and communities have kind of been built, and there's some positives at the end of 2020, I think.
Definitely. No, definitely. There definitely is. And it's nice to see, like, I know a lot of like the big retail shops now are just, they seem to be a new one every week that's shutting down, and like big massive names, but then there still seems to be like small businesses are coming into the high streets, and hopefully that's going to keep on. Like, I don't know if you've ever, I don't know if you've been, but to Burnt Island High Street, so that's close to where I live, and this high street is like crazy. Like every single shop is like an independent shop, and like there's everything. There's like bakers, butchers, fruit and veg shops. There's absolutely everything, and they're like thriving during this. Like all the businesses are still there. The community are supporting them, and even Kirkcaldy, which is close to me as well, they're the same. They've got a wee bit of the high street where it's like small businesses, and like you say, where you live is all small. So hopefully that's going to keep growing, and they'll get rid of the big shops. We didn't need them anymore.
I know, I hope you're right. And it's hard, like I say that a lot, and then I feel a bit guilty because I realize that like some people's jobs are working at, you know, so like there are like the little guys working at these places too. But
of course.
I think that's what I find so frustrating. I was having a conversation with someone who has like a very sort of traditional 9-to-5 career, and I was saying about, this was like way back at the start of the pandemic, and I was saying like, I'm so worried about what's going to happen to small business. And she was going, yeah, but look at the big department stores. Like I forget if it was Debenhams or John Lewis, like one of these bigger Frasers or something, were talking about going under or cutting stores. And she was going, but what about those businesses? They've worked so hard to become where they are. But I mean, it's such a different scale, because if you look at a business like Debenhams or John Lewis or whatever, it's owned by a bunch of very wealthy people, but it's obviously not tied directly to their wealth. But it's like, these people are millionaires and billionaires. It would be no problem for them to shell out whatever they need to keep the business surviving, but they would have to go into their personal funds, which they would never do. Whereas for a small business that's like one person, or maybe a person with a couple of staff, like they don't even have the wealth to bail out their own business. They rely on their very, you know, probably average, if not small salary, just to survive. And the dynamic is so different. But there's so many people that are just sort of, I guess, very conservative in their views, and like, you know, the rich need to stay rich, and we need to help them instead of helping the little guy. And I get so frustrated by that.
Yeah, I know, because these big shops, like the people who started these businesses aren't running them anymore. Like very rarely. It's not like Mr. Debenhams is like at the top. It's like all these investors and stuff, and it's a board of directors. It's not a single person. So yeah, I mean, obviously, like you say, it's sad people are losing their jobs, and like that's horrible. Like, but it's the same with, is it Topshop is going under, and that guy is a billionaire. Like he could totally like get everyone's pensions or whatever they're fighting about, and he's on his yacht. Like he's not bothered that it's going down. He's going to be fine. But it's the little guys, like you say, that'll feel the results.
I know, and when you think about these guys that are millionaires and billionaires, like they could easily afford to pay probably all of the employees' salaries, and it wouldn't even affect them. They'd have a little bit less money. They'd have a few thousand less in the bank. You know, whereas like for these people, it's their livelihood. It's the difference between them being able to put food on the table or affording a mortgage payment. Like, it's just, not to get all political, you know, because that's not our thing. This is not political podcast content, but it's just, it gets so discouraging. It's like, in a way, you get encouraged to see more people shopping local and supporting small, and that's brilliant. And you see some small businesses thriving, but then you also just get this amplified view of like greed and wealth distribution and stuff. And it's so frustrating. Like, I think I'm just going to move to Denmark or Scandinavia or somewhere where there's like a bit more sort of a socialist even keel.
Totally.
Yeah.
I know. That is annoying. Like Amazon, Jeff Bezos, how much did he make this pandemic? Like 7 billion. An extra 7 billion.
Oh, totally. Someone posted, I can't remember who it was now, but I meant to save it and I think I forgot, and they posted on Instagram how much he makes in like an hour, and it was something like, it was like 152,000 American dollars an hour or something, and then like what his average employee makes an hour. Just like, I can't even fathom that much money, and you have these super rich people and then so many people struggling. It's awful.
I know, you've just got to do your bit and know that you're putting your money in the right places, but it is frustrating.
Well, someone else shared something, and it was, I won't get the quote totally right, but it was basically along the lines of what you just said. It's like when you make a decision of where to spend your money, you're kind of saying what kind of a world you want. So like, I would be lying if I said I never use Amazon. I do. I use it for electronics and things, like sometimes for photography. I'll go like, crap, I need some new memory cards, and I can get it the next day. So I suppose I'm a bit guilty in purchasing some things from Amazon as well. But it's kind of like, if the majority of the time you're making choices that fit with your morals or the kind of world that you want to see, the more people that view it that way and maybe think twice about buying the generic pair of earrings instead of like walking around to the independent shop and buying from there, it will start to make a difference if more and more people start to be more mindful of it, I think.
Totally. Yeah, it's not about being perfect, is it? It's just about everyone kind of doing their bit and doing as much as they can. Because sometimes you do need to buy stuff from Amazon. It's like, you can't avoid it. But whatever you can.
Yeah, I think somebody posted the other day, it might have been Ashley at Glasgow Soap, somebody who sells, because I guess Amazon has like a small business family or something. I've never actually looked at it, but I guess they do support some sort of small and mid-level businesses as well. But it's just, you'd always rather buy directly from the business and just not let the rich guys keep getting richer while the small guys all suffer, I think.
I know, it's even like Etsy and stuff is like brilliant. You can like find so many businesses on there, but I always like to try and find like their actual website if they've got one and go through there, and so they're not getting hit by fees, or I don't even know how Etsy works, to be honest, but I feel like they'll be getting hit somewhere.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I never thought of before, so for example, like Charlie, my daughter, is 3.5, and I always just buy her a Christmas outfit from like Next or something, because I go like, it's fine, it's easy, I know they've got dresses and stuff. And then this year I was like, wait a minute, why could I not buy her clothes handmade? Like, it's a little bit harder with adult stuff because there's a lot less people making, handmade. It's harder, it's not impossible. But for kids stuff, there's loads of people making, like in Scotland and down south in England. So all I did is I went on Instagram and I used the hashtag like handmade children's clothing or whatever, and found some in the UK. And then I managed to order her like a Christmas outfit and a couple of pairs of trousers and like a silly like snood thing for myself. Aww. And like when you start looking, you can actually find it. It's just like taking the few extra minutes. And the thing is, you'll like what you get more. Like nobody else will have the same one, and it'll be better quality and you feel better about buying small. It's just, I think like a lot of people have good intentions, but old habits die hard. It's like what you were saying with Asda before. Like if you're used to just going and doing your weekly shop, that's what you're used to. And it's getting yourself out of the habits and like thinking outside the box a bit. So hopefully more and more people will do it, and it'll keep going. Hopefully,
yeah. We're all in the habit now, so hopefully it'll keep going into 2021.
Let's hope.
I'm trying to think what else we're going to chat about.
Well, how do you feel in terms of like, we talked a little bit about the challenges of being busy, but a lot of people have been speaking about burnout, and whether it is from being like really busy or not being busy and just being kind of stressed and anxious all the time, or like for me, I felt very much it's been the back and forth, like trying to constantly adapt to like a busy level and the way I work and like what I'm doing online. How are you feeling? Do you kind of feel in the middle as well, or?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes in stages for me, when I'm feeling like good and I'm like, oh, I've totally got this, I'm like in control, and then I hit that burnout, and it's like, I think it's just the fact that there's no break from it. Like, it's constant work, you're constantly at home, everything's like, you're thinking about social media, it's like totally all consuming, so you just never get, like before you would get like a night out or like a weekend away, or there was like times away where you weren't thinking about business, and I think now it's just like, it's all you think about. Well, I feel like I do anyway. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think too, it's like finding a work-life balance has been harder than ever. So like you and I are the same in that we worked from home before, but it's
Yeah.
still a different dynamic now working from home, like whether you have like a partner working from home or a kid around more or whatever. I
Yeah.
guess like I felt a lot more before the lockdown. I kind of felt like if I had a month that was already busy or we